Hello everyone, and welcome to episode 9 of This Week in Destiny Rising. My name is Sax and I'm a Destiny 2 Sherpa and content creator who's fallen in love with Destiny Rising, but at times I feel severely underinformed when it comes to the various gacha mechanics, systems, and character building within the Rising universe. That's why I started this show, so I could chat with some of the top players in the game to discuss the things that confuse me or maybe have just simply evaded me, in hopes that myself and others like you may learn something new every single week. Now, some quick housekeeping for you guys. If you enjoy the show but would prefer to listen rather than watch, you are welcome to find us on either Spotify or Apple Podcasts. We have growing and budding communities on both platforms, and we appreciate you guys for interacting over there, following, liking, and subscribing. This week in Destiny Rising, we had a lot take place. We saw the full release of the game in China. We saw an in-game notice of the Morgren's Hunt coming back. We received an incredible teaser trailer, and all of this was something that I kind of recorded an intro for. We had to do the podcast in 2 parts this week. However, all of that has kind of been overcast by what happened this morning. So this is actually the second time I've recorded the opening. This is a very last second response time. This week in Destiny Rising, we are receiving a development update strengthening Estella, cross-server play, and more. So I want to go ahead and discuss this. And then on the back half of the episode, myself, Rex, and Flamel got together last night and revised our tier list. So the tier list that Asterix and I put together, that was at the beginning of September. So before Season of Daybreak came out, we went through last night and we revised that based on the meta and the information we had on hand last night. Now, I do believe that these Estella changes here will move her up a tier, but I'll let you find out where we placed her last night here in just a second. So let's talk about this. This is from the game design team under the development blogs channel inside the Destiny Rising Discord. It says, adjustment to character strengths. Following the release of major updates for Act 2 of Season 1, the community has been actively discussing the strength of the new character, Hellhest, and the prior mythic character, Estella, as well as the end-game sandbox. Shortly after the update, we addressed some bugs that caused some confusion and frustration among players through a hotfix. Now, we'd like to delve deeper into these topics with you through this update. Destiny Rising aims to bring a fresh experience to the Destiny IP through rich, diverse combat experiences, with each character offering a unique combat style and value. We hope players can enjoy the growth and combat joy of different characters and find their favorite playstyles in various challenges. To this end, we've designed diverse levels and difficulties to ensure each character's unique traits can shine in suitable scenarios. In the long run, we don't want any single character to dominate all playstyles. Instead, we aim to achieve balance so each character can stand out in specific circumstances. In terms of specific character designs, Hellhest and Estella are meant to thrive in different environments. Hellhest excels at high burst damage in short periods, while Estella is better suited for stable, long-term damage output. However, based on community feedback and data analysis, we found that Estella hasn't met expectations in some in-game game modes, particularly in environments where she was supposed to shine. Part of the reason is also that the current in-game environment doesn't provide enough challenge for players with fully progressed characters. We are speeding up our content roadmap to enrich players' in-game playlist with fun and challenging content. Stay tuned. That right there is huge. We are speeding up our content roadmap to enrich players' in-game playlist with fun and challenging content. That is enormous. It says, therefore, we've decided to adjust Estella's skill kit and related weapons to improve her competitive edge in in-game content while preserving her unique playstyle. These adjustments will take into effect either from today's hotfix or by Thursday with our weekly maintenance. The specifics are as follows. So, guys, what we're hearing from the first two is NetEase hears us. Their development team has been working and they are trying their best to figure out what this is going to look like, okay? What this is going to turn into. And they're forming and shaping the game based on our feedback. They're hearing us, and this is phenomenal. Next, they've laid out the clear plan that they have and the vision, right? This is one of the first times we're hearing the clear vision from NetEase saying, hey, we want you guys to understand that we understand where each of these characters should thrive. And so I think there's been a lot of confusion on like Do they even know what they're doing? This is them coming out and saying with a clear head, guys, we got this. Guys, we got this. We're working on this. We are actively working on this. So let's talk about the Estella adjustments here. Recharge time for Misfortune's Guide has been reduced from 11 to 8 seconds. Misfortune's Guide has a significant impact on Estella's combat flow. Reducing this recharge time grants her more room for error in battle. The base damage Bewitched Illusions deal per hit has been increased from 90 to 100. The base damage Violent Reverie deals per hit has been increased from 210 to 230. While firing weapons and for a short time after firing, Estella's 2 signature abilities will support left-handed mode. Casting a signature ability will not interrupt firing, and Estella can begin firing at any point while casting. This adjustment will appear in-game after our weekly maintenance on Thursday. I'm sure there's a lot more that's in-depth with making that change as far as giving additional input controls and tweaking how the character literally plays. In some situations, Estella can gain corruption very efficiently, which results in the need to repeatedly cast her signature ability. With these changes above, casting signature abilities will have less of an impact on firing weapons. Man, we are going to be spamming summons all across the playing field. Next, we have the Exotic Machine Gun Heir Apparent. These changes will be implemented after Thursday's maintenance. Precision damage for Heir Apparent, that multiplier has been increased from 1.2 to 1.35. The damage boost Catalyst Man 2 provides when repeatedly firing has been adjusted from 5% per stack up to 10 stacks to 10% up to 5 stacks. So it seems like you are going to be able to get the stacks. It's the same amount of buff, but it's going to increase faster. So it's going to basically reach that max damage boost quicker when switching targets. The barrel spinning up duration has been decreased from 1.2 seconds to 1 second pre-catalyst and from 0.8 to 0.6 seconds post-catalyst. This change lets the weapon begin firing sooner. And the length of time allotted before the barrel will need to spin up again after the firing has ceased has been extended from 2.5 seconds to 4 seconds. Now, if the wielder casts an ability while firing or stops shooting for a short duration, they won't need to prepare the barrel again, significantly improving how the weapon feels. Oh, I know right now, Flamel is so excited about this. That brother, mains, Estella, and Heir Apparent. This is the Flamel update. I cannot believe what I'm reading. This is awesome. This is the first time we've tweaked Estella and Heir Apparent's stats. We'll continue to monitor the character performance and balance in our core play modes. We'll make adjustments as needed to ensure each character meets our expectations for a rich and diverse combat experience. Each time we make such balance changes, we'll communicate our design philosophy with our community. That is awesome. Good job, NetEase. Now let's talk in-game activity, the Expanse. As one of the main in-game activities, Expanse is a key focus of our design efforts. Each challenge cycle, we dynamically adjust the level design and modifier pool to create the intended challenge experience. However, with ongoing and character updates, varying synergy between characters and perks, we test and adjust the activity extensively each cycle to ensure it offers a balanced and fun experience. As a result, we regularly update the time benchmarks for different tiers of Expanse. During testing, we found that some perks were overperforming, which could disrupt the balance of Expanse for different characters. Therefore, we made adjustments during the Season 1 latter half maintenance. However, as mentioned in the previous hotfix notes, some level configurations were incorrectly incorporated due to errors, and combined with other bugs, these issues led to a poor player experience in Expanse during the early parts of Act 2 of Season 1. In the upcoming seasonal updates and Expanse updates, we'll conduct more comprehensive testing and balancing of level quality, perk values, and challenge experiences for all characters. We're also working on new content for Expanse to expand its possibilities further. I was talking about this yesterday a little bit, as in on the podcast, when we were doing our tier list, but you guys will hear in a little bit talking about the concept of them shifting some of the in-game focus from being a sprint, like you have to do it as fast as possible, to doing things where it's like, hey, you need to defend an area or you need to survive as long as possible. And I think that if they can continue to use the framework they have with the Expanse, but then, pun intended, expand its breadth and allow more experiences in there rather than just go fast, go fast, go fast, I think that would be phenomenal. A great way to incentivize us to lean into having defense characters, to having a wider range of characters. And it's not just, hey, anything at the top and the left of the tier list is going to be the fastest characters or the ones that kill the fastest, but it's going to be the ones that can actually survive. So Guys, let's talk about the last piece here, server merging, the first step. Okay, so this does not seem like it is the final step, but it's the first step in this rollout they're doing. It says, we understand that server isolation since launch has limited interaction between global players. We've been exploring technical solutions to reduce barriers to co-play. After ongoing efforts by our technical team, we are excited to announce that we plan to roll out the first phase of server merging in Season 2. Currently, we have 4 regional server groups, North America, South America, EMEA, and APAC. In the first phase, we'll merge the North America and Latin servers and the EMEA and APAC servers. Once servers are merged, players from different regional servers can freely add friends, chat, join fire teams, and play together. They'll also compete together on new leaderboards. This is just the first step in our server merging plan. The development team is still exploring the possibility of merging all server groups in the future. We hope that one day players from any region can freely team up and play together with friends around the world. One thing to note, however, while we've optimized as much as possible on our servers, latency due to physical distance is unavoidable. We'll prioritize matchmaking with closer geographic proximity, but when playing with teammates from farther away, you may experience higher latency than usual, and we'll look into the performance of server merges once they roll out. I'll share more details on server merging in a separate update closer to release. Closing words. Thank you to every light bearer for your support and feedback. We know that our game is driven by your passion and participation. We'll continue to listen to the community and improve the gaming experience. This first batch of changes is just the beginning. In our next update, we'll share our latest roadmap, including our plans and focus areas for the coming months. Stay tuned. Until next time, the Destiny Rising team. Bravo, bravo, bravo. I love this. I love this frame of communication. We were talking about it extensively after recording the podcast last night. I should have recorded that conversation because that was a riveting one with some other people in our clan. But just the conversation on like, we are not hearing enough from NetEase. We don't know what they're thinking. We don't know what they're doing. This right here shuts that down. They are listening. They are taking a thoughtful approach to how, exactly how they want to see the game roll out. And I am stoked. I am stoked to see this. So guys, I hope you found this as exciting as I did. You'll have to let me know in the comment section below. I'm going to cut right now to the second half of the episode. Reminder, we're doing a tier list in the back half of the episode, an updated tier list. The only character that's probably moved in this is Estella, and I believe that this has bumped her up a level from where she already was. You'll have to figure out what that is, but take into consideration when we talk about Estella, we didn't know any of these changes, so I'll catch you in the back half. All right, we are back, and we are back with Flamel and Rex. Thank you guys for coming back 2 weeks in a row. I was able to convince them to come back. How you guys doing, man?
Pretty good. Glad to be back.
Not too bad.
Awesome. Well, guys, here's what I got queued up for us, okay? So I was just looking back at some of the other episodes we've had and some things that had been popular and just thinking about this episode, right? Like that we were getting together. I wanted to do something different than character deep dives because twice in a row felt good, but a third episode in a row doing that just kind of felt like it was getting a little, getting a little stale. So what I decided that we would do is I looked at the fact that we did our tier list for pre-season 1. So that came out, I think, a day or two before Season of Daybreak actually launched. And what I decided we would do tonight is we would look at our existing tier list, okay? And I say our because it's something that I want to evolve over time with different guests that are on the show. And so Asterix and I put out our original tier list. So for anyone who's listening, I'm going to go ahead and explain who we have ranked where on the tier list. And then, guys, I want to kind of dive in and see, knowing the meta that we had in the first half of Season of Daybreak, and then knowing the meta that we're currently in and what that's shaping up to be, and then finally take into consideration what we think we know might be coming down the pipeline for the next season. I want to see how this will shift up. So I already see some things, so I'm interested to see your opinions. But for any of our audio listeners, here's where Asterix and I left off last time. At the very top of S tier, we had Tantu. And following that, we actually had Yumiko. And then right after that, we had Gwen. So those are our only 3 legends that were in the S tier. Next, at the top of A tier, we had Estella, followed by Ning. Yolder followed Ning, actually, and then finally we had Wolf. So I know there was a lot of utility talk there with Wolf at the time, being able to kind of speed through And I don't think we were as high on Ning at the time. Then we got solidly into the middle B tier. We ended up with Caber. Next C tier, we had Finala and then Atal. And then finally, at the top of D tier, we had Ikora. And then we finished up with Zhuanwei at the bottom of D tier. That was our final legend. So I'm not even sure if you guys had seen this. Flamel, what sticks out to you here with our original list?
Oh man, I based on my bias, like I play Estella all the time. I would have probably ranked her an S, but of course, biases being biases.
Sure.
I mean, knowing what we know now, Ning, in my opinion, I don't know if we want to get into that or.
Well, what do you think about, I guess, our assumptions we had for where Yumiko and Estella would fall? That feeling, I feel like when I look at it, I see the Yumiko being up in S tier, and I'm like, I have some questions about that. I think the right player for any of these characters might be able to push into S tier, but I have a little bit of question on that even at the time. I think that was a little aspirational. By our boy Asterix there. He pushed that one. I had no context.
10 definitely, like in the beginning, really shined in group play. I'm not sure if S or even A tier, but again, I don't want to upset a bunch of players just making assumptions because we're definitely not my.
Yeah, we're fully gonna upset some people tonight, brother. This is more laid back, so I'm excited about that. So Rex, you got anything that's popping off of you with our original tier list here?
So, out of the original tier list, based on now that we're in endgame and everything, Wolf seems to drop from either A to very high B or very low A tier.
Okay.
Because right now he is the best spread character at the moment.
Okay.
Simply for his utility and the exotic grenade launcher being infinite ammo with half of his super being taken. It's miles above Ikora, so even low A to high B sometimes, depending on where you bring him. I will say that unless spread is part of like GM or master content, I don't see Wolf. And as Flamel has said, I am also biased towards Estella. I would like Estella in S tier, but I will put her very high A tier just because of her boss DPS.
So what we're saying is we think Asterix. I mean, basically to parse that through, right? So for listeners at home, Estella is at the top of A tier, right? Did not make it into the S tier, and then Wolf is at the already at the bottom of the A tier. So you're essentially what you're saying is you do think he nailed it with that, because Asterix, I've relied very heavily on Asterix on this regard, because that dude he was grinding. He got all characters so far up, and he was through the acclaim system very quickly. Mm-hmm. So he was one of the more prepared people for something like this. So I guess that's why I'm looking more for commentary, because I know that like a lot of people, now that the game has gotten further and further in, are more like specialists, right? Like we're looking at ways to specialize into particular characters. So just to be clear for everyone at home, like there's going to be biases, right? Like anyone who comes into a game like this, we're playing with a bunch of cool, like basic little action figures. It's like we all got our favorite one, and we're trying to get the level as high as possible in stuff. So when we're putting these things here, I think basically we're going to look at it. And I said this last time we did our tier list. You can't make a tier list in a vacuum. You're looking at it through a certain lens. So if we're looking at it and saying, hey, what is the meta that we're currently in? We can reestablish that down the line. I think that this was fairly good. The only question that I personally have, and that I probably would have changed, is the positioning of Yumiko in the meta, because as Mr. Havoc had laid out for us a couple weeks back, said like Yumiko is really good if. It's like there were so many different like check boxes that had to be hit, if that makes sense, to put her into the best situation. Like if it's a boss damage phase and you have one person and they have a bunch of copies and things like that. And I feel like that, for me personally, if you have to hit so many things and jump through the hoops, it can be worth it, right? Like it can be worth to actually push yourself to learn that tech and do everything with that. But I'm just not convinced by her performance or just the buzz around her as a character between when we put this original list out and now. I don't think I was convinced that she should be an S tier. I think personally it would have been something maybe like an A tier, but that's kind of where I'm sitting here. So let's do this, okay? I think it's very obvious. Let's get some obvious moves out of the way, okay? So we have Zhuan Wei. He's going top of S tier. We know that. No, I'm just kidding. I think it's very, very
Yolder
obvious.
S tier.
Yolder S tier. We're going to have to do it. And then we're going to have to know that Ning right now has not been dethroned. Or I'm saying he is dethroning and pushing back S tier across the board, essentially. Would we agree with that? Like
for the past month and a half, like all the Calamity Ops teams have been has had Ning in them.
I mean, he allowed a wash player like me to knock out, the Expanse stuff, doing opposite element Expanse. I mean, it was crazy. Like the amount of stuff that you can do with Ning, and he just doesn't care. He just doesn't care about what element that enemy has. He just doesn't care about what Shinka is on the field. And so I've been, I don't know how much you guys have invested, but Ning is the character I have by far invested in the most. I love playing Ning Fei. Like anytime I think in my head about playing Destiny Rising, it's me playing Ning, if that makes sense. It's the same way like when I play Destiny 2, if I think playing Destiny 2, I'm playing a Titan. If I'm playing Destiny Rising personally, for me, it's Ning and then Gwen for me back to back. So that's kind of where I fall. You guys got any other Ning thoughts?
I say I've put a little bit into Ning. I don't have any of his copies though.
Okay.
So I'm very lower on actually being able to deal damage with him.
Gotcha.
So because everybody I've seen has at least tier 4, has at least 4 or 5 copies on him.
Gotcha.
I'm sitting at 0 copies.
That does make it a little difficult.
The permanent banner decides, hey, we're not going to give him Ning.
Right.
We're going to give him every character first. And then we're going to give him 3 Yolder dupes.
Pretty
back.
much the same.
Me sitting.
We're going to give him 3 Yolder dupes.
Yeah.
2 Tan dupes. Not a single Ning dupe.
Yep.
I got him once.
Jeez.
I mean, I'm at a T2 on Ning. Same for Yolder though, but yeah. I mean, from what I said a bit ago, Ning he's been at the top of the leaderboards for quite a while since like the more end game content is fleshed out.
Also, that exotic crossbow that they gave him completely
Mahatma
changed
Yuri.
his kit
Yeah.
between beta and alpha. Because beta and alpha, Ning was severely lacking. And I believe by giving him that crossbow, they definitely fixed him personally, based on playing him between all 3 versions.
Sure.
That crossbow completely balanced his kit. Might be a little too much.
Yeah, the word balance there's doing some heavy work, brother, but I understand what you're saying. I mean, I love playing him.
I believe they need to bring Bad Juju back from the alpha.
Okay.
For our boy Caber and our girl Estella.
Okay.
For sure.
Simply because you put Bad Juju on Estella,
It's
and
over,
Estella
bro.
she's getting that super back in the same amount of time that Ning gets his super.
That'd be insane.
It's such a good weapon on her. At least it was in the alpha when we had it. And then you got the catalyst for it because it was kinetic at the time, so we don't know what element it could be.
Sure.
If they gave it void, that would round out her kit with giving her an element in each slot. She would have every element in both of her slots.
Okay.
But then again, that would be another exotic to invest into her.
Yeah, that's fair.
Which would be another 6 photons, another 400 cores, 3 dupes, 90 catalysts. Say you get to farm out 3 dupes, so 3 exotic engrams for that. Maybe it'll be a battle pass weapon in the future. Who knows?
Could be.
Or an event weapon like they did with the alpha.
You know, and And so the thing that I run into with something like that, though, is the levers that they have to pull, right? Like, because I've been told by many people, typically gacha games don't do a ton of nerfing of characters because of legal issues with, hey, I paid for this and then you're taking this away, that kind of thing with the pure nature of it, right? But with a game like Destiny, with having weapons that are not associated directly with the character itself doesn't have to change, but you can change the things that are in the hands of these characters, right? Or add new things or things of that sort. And so I think that that's a creative way to bring other characters back into the fold, right? Like being able to say, hey, we're going to buff up Estella. I've heard a lot of discourse saying that, like, even though Estella is very strong, the super's very strong, you guys put on display last week, right? Like how strong Estella really can be. I've seen the work you guys did in Calamity Ops. We did a little bit of running. You guys helping carry me through that, that kind of stuff. And it's like, okay, she's great, but there's, she's not as high on the leaderboards as she was just a couple weeks ago before Hellhest existed, right? And so how do you course correct that, right? Like how, not necessarily course correct, but how do you keep her relevant, without just saying like, well, I spent that money, but now I'm never going to click on her and I have her maxed out or something. I think it'll be interesting as we move forward. So let me ask you, get this. We've talked about Estella a ton. Do you think she should move? Do you think she's good in that A tier? Flamel, Rex, you already said top of A tier. Do you still feel that way? And Flamel, do you think she should move up, down, or you think she's good where she is?
I mean, top of A tier, somewhere in the lower part of S tier, honestly.
Okay.
It's just the thing is she's just lacking movement, and that's why like a lot of the Ning being in S tier, and then when we talk about Hellhest, that's going to be another thing. It's just she'd be much better if she had movement, or if like the movement buffs that other characters give like were a bit faster.
Yeah, that's fair.
I can agree with Flamel on that.
Okay. All right, let's do this, boys. I think that Tan is a little too high. I think Tan is great, but I think he's a little too high for where we're at right this second. But I'm not convinced. I don't think he's leaving S tier high. I'm just a little concerned he's a little too high, or he's going to get bumped down here in a second. I've already said that I think Yumiko's too high on this list. I can't put Yumiko higher than Estella. And if I'm not willing to bump Estella up to S tier, which I'm not saying I'm not quite yet, but I think for sure Yumiko has to go behind Estella. Does that sit right with you guys?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, Yumiko's definitely a good support character. I just haven't seen hers really stand out much.
Okay.
I say Umiko is your Night Stalk Hunter.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's always welcome in a DPS phase. Decent ad clear with the right weapons. I do believe if you get her artifacts right, if you can get everything right on her, then she can deal decent damage to everything. But we also have to take into account that you can't judge Umiko for damage against Estella for damage.
Sure. That's
Just
fair.
like you can't judge Estella for support versus Umiko for support.
Yep, that's fair.
We almost have to have two different sections on, almost 2 to 3 different sections here with, all right, solar support, solar damage. We almost have to have individual elements to roles.
Right.
Because Umiko, great for debuffing. Not so good for her reload off of Invis. Great when you pop her with Izanagi's in a damage phase. But is running Umiko worth, maybe someone else isn't running, maybe you have a better DPS character. If you ran the DPS character, would you clear quicker than you would if you ran the debuff?
Yeah. I think the consideration, though, because you're absolutely right. Like, I mean, it's very tough, right, to compare. These are certainly apples, oranges, pears, plums, whatever you want to call them, right? Like, but these are characters that are not the same. The one thing we do have to remember, though, is the game doesn't care. It's requiring you to use the exact same materials to invest into these characters, right? So
Yep.
we're looking at these characters, and so I what I like to view this, and like I said at the top, said in the last episode, this is something where we have to look through it like we're looking through a lens, right? And saying, okay, what is in the meta we're currently in? If someone wanted to come to this video as a resource and wanted to look at this tier list we have and say, hey, I have 4 Caber copies. Is that worth anything, right? Being able to look at this and be like, well, okay, this is our opinion on where the mileage they're going to get out of it. Square in the middle. He's got good utility. I'm not going to choose him over some of the characters that are above, but I'm also not terribly torn up about it, if that makes sense. And so that kind of thing, that's kind of where I come down on it. And I think the fact that the materials don't split on what you need and what you are required to put in to actually invest into these characters, that's why I think they have to, even though I want to. Everything inside me wants to divvy them up because I know they're all different. I know they all fill a different role. We have to keep them in the same place because you're investing the same materials into them to bring them up. That's just my thought on it.
Right. You're correct.
So let's do this. Okay, we've skirted around it enough. We have Yoder sitting up here, guys. It's a bit of the meme. I do know there's a lot of people out there that love them some Yoder. I'm not sure that I love her enough to put her in the S tier. Legitimately, I would give her a little bit above Wolf here. So I'm just gonna go ahead and set her right there. For now, you can tell me in the comments. I know you will. I know the Yoder, our Yoder lovers, man. They really love some Yoder. Let's go ahead. We beat around the bush enough. Let's talk about our 2 new characters that came out with Act 2 of Season of Daybreak. Okay, Rex, I know that you and Sam did some testing on Rossi 11. I know you've done a little more on the Hellhest side of things, but I've actually got quite a few copies, but I've invested a lot of my time into, like I already said, Ning, and then putting some time into Hellhest as well. Do you guys have opinions here on the Rossi 11 side of things?
My experience with Rossi is just coming from playing around with Sam. He was playing around with Rossi for a little bit. Honestly, I would put Rossi probably higher than Caber in B tier.
Okay.
Simply for the fact that he needs both of Caber and Rossi both need copies to make themselves better to stand up to the other 5-star characters.
I got you. Okay.
I say, if you can get him C6 and you get the right weapon, like say, because if you're investing to Hellhest, you have the bow. If you're investing into Ning, you've got the auto crossbow. He uses both of those weapons. Mahamuri, already goated.
That is a good point. That's a very good point. Like,
if you can get him C6 or T6, I would put him low A tier. If you can get all of his copies with weapons and everything maxed out, he can definitely be pushed into A tier. We played around with him in Hellhest. Hellhest buffs him enough to where he's actually dealing decent damage.
Huh.
You can just throw multiple different artifacts and everything on him. It's just, we'll have so much more info on that in a Rossi 11 video coming in the future.
Yep.
I'll get with Sam and we'll get our notes together, see what's going on with him, how to play him efficiently. The one thing we did notice with him, though, is that Art Cage. It blocks projectiles. We haven't tested that very much. And we're not sure if it works like a mini bubble or not, to where you can stand inside of that and not take damage.
I gotcha.
From outside sources. We haven't tested that yet. But I was reading that earlier, and I was like, okay, if this works, this can push him. This can push him higher on the tier list.
Yeah. All right, so let's do that. Let's stay firmly square in the middle there on that B tier. Lock with Rossi 11. And then, guys, yeah, like Rex just said, we have plans. We already have things moving in the background to try to get you more Rossi 11 information. So we're going to keep them right there. And then, I'm certain we're going to do more adjustments and things of this in the future. If it's not been clear yet, I don't really feel that anything significantly has changed at the bottom of the tier list. I know that some people, I've had some people come out as Ikora fans, right? Like some people that have come out of the woodwork there. I think we've talked a little bit. I don't know if we talked on the podcast or not, but we talked a little bit about Ikora potentially getting a wave frame at some point, like having that accessible or something like that in one of the earlier builds. Is that right?
So Alpha and Beta had Ikora's trial was a wave frame grenade launcher.
Oh, interesting.
It was a lightweight wave frame, kind of like how Forbearance and everything work
Sure.
in. It was closer to the new Pacific Epitaph from
Goes to the Deep.
Goes to the Deep.
Yep.
Yes, thank you. Oops, brain fart. Did not
Hey,
know.
that's where I'm
What
an
that was
expert
from.
in. I better be able to help you on that one. So
Yeah. If she gets that, and if we get a decent rocket in the game, because right now, honestly, Two-Tailed Fox is probably her best rocket in the game for exotics, considering she doesn't have an exotic breach load grenade launcher right now.
I'm just
Which
waiting
Wither
for
Horde,
Fighting
we're praying.
Lion. Yeah, Wither Horde's going to be sick if we can get that, but I think Fighting Lion's probably the no-brainer at some point.
Oh yeah, if we get Fighting Lion, it's over if we get Fighting Lion. But as of right now, I say every character is made good if you build them correctly and you put them in the right hands. If we get good weapons for Ikora, we can bring Ikora up.
Yep.
We can't have we would love to put everybody in S and A tier. Some people have to go below, and it's simply just because they're lacking weapons.
Yeah.
They're lacking decent weapons to go with their kit. They're lacking something in their kit that we haven't found yet to bring them up.
I think that's well said. I think that's the thing that's great about the system for the Legendary campaign that has really, really impressed me is the fact that you can borrow some of these top characters from other players. So Asterix, I mean, he has an incredibly well built out Ikora. Who would have thought? I didn't know. And, I think he just got all the copies and he just said, you know what, I'm just going to go ahead and invest in it. And from that, I've had a great time playing through Legendary campaign missions on his Ikora. And there's someone in our server who I had the ability to play there at all. Made me a believer. I was like, heck yeah, let's go through. And so I think there's a lot to be said about the efficacy that can be exhibited by these characters, right? The level at which the top players for these characters can perform. That's awesome. That's great that people can do that. And so we fully believe that there are people out there. But if we're looking through the lens and saying like, hey, what is going to actually push your game forward? There are limitations to all these characters. The limitations that we are experiencing in Act 2 of Season of Daybreak it's just more limiting on spread characters and slower characters, things of this sort. But if we get something where it's a buckle down, right? Like you need to be able to hold your ground like really, really firmly. Well, that could easily start moving things around for a Tan, for a Yolder, for a Finala even. Getting just pure ag clear, just getting in there. If we get some events that are less traversive and they're more like, hey, stationary, you're in the room, but you're going to be on a leaderboard based on how long you can survive. I still think Ning would perform well to an extent, but some of the things that are pushing him all the way almost instantaneously to the top of S tier, they're just not
movement.
The movement stuff just isn't going to be as relevant in something like that. So it's up to NetEase, right, to push that. I think realistically, there's a lot of levers they can pull, and I think that's one of the bits of nuance that have been missed in the conversation recently. It's the feeling that, Destiny Rising feels a little dead right now, which I think we're all feeling. We feel in our packs, and you'll feel in different, in player base or whatever it comes to. But the truth of the matter is we had characters be introduced. I think NetEase is a well-established enough company that they can see what happened to their player base when they didn't have a ton of stuff, right? It's season 1. They have a rollout planned and they're working through. Yeah. And I think they're going to see the numbers. They're going to see what they had. They did with what they could for this first season. I think that they're going to make adjustments for the future and say, hey, we need to pack this a little further and do that. And I think it would do well for us as a community to understand that, to back up for a second, take a little chill pill, Look at the narrative right around the game of Destiny Rising and say, hey, what is it doing well? What is it not? Let's share our opinions. I'm not saying we don't share our opinions on what's not, but let's trust that, hey, this game development company that paid this much money to invest and to get access to this franchise, they're not just gonna let it expire after one season. Like, that doesn't even make sense. So understanding that, knowing that, hey, this meta is going to shift. They're going to push us to use other characters at different times because they want us to keep playing and invest in them. So that's just how I feel about it. I think that they're going to give us a variety of things. I do not think we're going to sit here in 2 years from now, Destiny Rising, all it's going to be are leaderboards for as fast as you can go, and they're just going to power creep. And it's not even going to be power creep. It's just going to be speed crept, right? It's not going to be like, okay, well, now all our characters just have to be able to, like, natively unstuck glitch. You know what I mean? It's like,
No, yeah.
I'm sorry, but I pray they fix that at some point. And then, and then they just give us a way, like, give us a wide variety of ways to climb leaderboards or earn rewards in different manners, whether it's a survival thing where we're doing a round-based experience and things are, an onslaught from Destiny 2 or something of that sort. So, well, gentlemen, we have beat around the bush far long enough. We have Hellhest now, okay? I have a feeling I kind of know where this is going. Rex, I know you have some big feelings on Hellhest. We put a lot of time. We've had a lot of discussion with it. Where do you think Hellhest should sit on this this tier list here?
So, I believe she goes right in between Ning and Tan on S tier.
That's what I have in mind as well.
I say she's not ahead of Ning because Ning is way more versatile than she is. She doesn't have all of the mobility that Ning has, but she makes up for that with the rest of her kit. You go watch the other video on Hellhest. It speaks for itself. She's top S tier, but not the best in S tier.
Yep.
If we had to do something, if we had to add a second tier, if we had to have an SS tier, Ning goes into SS. Hellhest is the top of S tier.
Sure.
That's how that would go. She's not quite edging Ning out, but you give her Royal Contravene and you pop that salvo, her DPS skyrockets.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. Is there we don't have just like a DPS class, right? Like, everything is considered something, right? I would say Estella would be as close to that with her summon stuff, but we have like summons, defense, support, I guess. Do we have anything that is just natively, this is literally just raw DPS class, or do they get more nuance? And the reason I ask this is because it feels like Hellhest is blurring the lines between all of these, and she is so close to just being like DPS class, even though she does support really well and support from a healing aspect and a boosting for damage and speed, right? Like, she does that very well. She does raw DPS, just puts it out. She's got great survivability on her own right, being able to buff herself with all those things. Do you think we're going to just see is like, hey, this is just a character where, we're bringing in for a DPS phase and this is all they do? Or do you think we're going to continue to see that he's blurring the lines like this?
I would love to see them blur the lines and push the boundaries more because I like chaos.
Okay.
And Hellhest brings chaos simply because they did what they did with Rossi. They gave Rossi Ning's weapon. They gave him the auto crossbow.
Yep.
That auto crossbow already deals enough damage by itself to be viable. They gave Hellhest the linear fusion rifle, which is really good DPS. Just like how Umiko can use Izanagi's and has a reload buff to reload Izanagi's faster.
It's true.
So Umiko can do support and DPS. You just need the right stuff on Umiko to do that efficiently, which is the only reason why Hellhest is higher than Umiko, is because Hellhest, right off the bat, can compete in DPS. Even T0 is still decent because the healing, the damage bonus, and then a maxed out Royal Contravene, if you can get it, good, brilliant, do it. If you haven't invested into that yet, because you're not playing at all. You haven't done the Royal Contravene yet. But I will say, Hellhest, blurring the lines, she's a support character that can deal massive DPS. Welcome back. Song of Flame Warlock is the best. That's the best example right now. Is Song of Flame
it's
Warlock.
true.
Song of Flame Warlock is Hellhest.
Yeah, that's fair.
That's what I can. That's the only thing I can attribute it to right now, because of how her kit works. Is Song of Flame.
Yeah, I think that's a great comparison.
And you saw what they did to Song of Flame.
Yeah, I mean, it still is incredible from a solo aspect. It's incredible from a team play aspect in Destiny 2, and so that's what I'm mostly excited about from Hellhest. It is interesting, right? I think NetEase has a thought in mind on how we're going to play the characters. I think they have a consideration on what the power fantasy is, but I do enjoy the fact that we can kind of craft that and hone that in our own manner. So, well, guys, this has been, honestly, things have fallen in line about where I thought they would. I wasn't sure about Yumiko. I wasn't sure if you guys would have a stronger opinion on the S tier or even maybe lower and stuff of that sort, but I feel good with this. So guys, for the audio listeners, I want to let you know where we ended up just as a recap here as we round out at the top of S tier, moving up from the A tier, we have Ning Fei. Next to Ning, we have Hellhest, followed by Tan 2, which has dropped 2 slots down to 3rd in S tier, still in S tier. Ning is a fantastic character, fantastic support, and damage boosting for the entire team, but has dropped 2 slots down to 3rd. And then sliding down as well is Gwen. I don't feel like Gwen has moved as much as Gwen has been pushed, if that makes sense. Whereas I feel like Tan has almost moved a little bit in that aspect. Estella is still firm at the top of A tier. Yumiko has dropped from the S tier down to 2nd in the A tier. For us, Yoder and Wolf are rounding out our A tier. I believe that's where we had them originally. Rossi 11, new addition to the tier list, is in the top of B tier. Has now slid down. Caber down 1 slot. 2nd in B tier. And then rounding out our bottom 4, we have Finala and Natal in C tier. They have not moved. And then Ikora and Zhuanwei at the bottom of D tier. So, gentlemen, thank you very much for your time this evening. 2 weeks in a row. Appreciate you guys. I appreciate you guys for listening at home. Sorry this episode was a little odd, scheduling, sickness, everything together. So like I said, we kind of mashed a couple of recordings together, but I appreciate you guys as always for listening. Until next time, be blessed, y'all.